Okay, time to start my lesson. First, though, is anything broken? That's how she began. It's kind of an odd question to ask the moment I arrive. Huh? Broken? Like what? I'm asking if any part of you isn't working. Ah, right, because we had the ritual thing with Saber. That could mess some stuff up. It's some wild stuff, so you must have burned out a nerve or two. Oh, I guess also that, yeah. Not say I care. I just figured it'd be hard to teach you unless I knew whether there was anything wrong. Only servant that would consider joining Tosaka's Lancer. So it does have to be a mutual thing, I guess. Like, the servant and master have to come to an arrangement, an agreement, I suppose. Although, I mean, and granted, I'm sure you know more about the series than I do. However, like, I'm just thinking logically. Like, these servants really want to win the Grail. If they're in a position without a master, they can't win the Grail. So I kind of feel like if I'm a servant, and my master goes down, but I'm still hanging around, I feel like I'd probably be willing to get on board with, like, just about anyone to, you know, get back in the game. I don't know, maybe that's a flaw in my logic and reasoning, but I feel like it's sort of a beggars can't be choosers situation at that point. Yes. Not to say I care, I just figured it'd be hard to teach you unless I knew whether there was anything wrong. According to Tosaka, some parts of me should be numb. But since I'm the one living in my body, I can say she's wrong. Nope, everything's working fine. The headache and fever are gone now that I've had a night's sleep. I feel fine. What? That can't be true. Did you forget the part where you projected Saber's sword? That would have cost a normal person their arm. But I told you I'm fine. Besides, if my body wasn't working, I wouldn't have been able to carry Ilya back to the house. At that point, the only thing wrong with me was a headache and a fever. That's not possible. Sure, show me your arm. She tugs on my arm before I can reply, then stares at it. I realize I'm holding my breath. I may have gotten used to her being around, but I'm definitely not used to her being so close. It really does look like there's nothing wrong. I see heal places that are black, like they're burned or bruised, but other than that, everything's healed. It's almost like the flesh grew back like new. Tosaka mutters quietly to herself as she inspects my arm. Hey! As if that weren't enough to leave me beet red. Your body really is unbelievable. This is how normal healing works. Your natural healing is obviously being bolstered by something external. But this, you healed this yourself? Ran lifts my sleeve up, pressing her fingers all along my arm. Hey, stop! That's enough, Tosaka. Go sit back down if you're done. Huh? I'm examining you, you know. Oh, I get it. Tosaka leans closer to me. You say your fever's gone down, but I'm not so sure. Your face is glowing. You don't know what he's... Yeah, I don't know why he's healing at this point. Like, it's been very firmly established that it's a thing that happens, but as for a root cause, no idea. Anyways, that's for me to worry about. It's none of your business, so leave me alone. Like, obviously I haven't seen the anime, so I don't know this for sure, but I do know it's fairly common when they're adapting these sorts of things to sometimes plot points get moved around and stuff to, you know, have a better, you know, more satisfying arc in the context of like a television show versus the, you know, novel or whatever. So, well, you might have it out of order in your head, Beta, but like I was saying, I've seen there's plenty of instances where events get shuffled around in an adaptation, so that could also be what's going on, potentially. Anyways, that's for me to worry about. It's none of your business, so leave me alone. Again, I don't know if that's the case here, but it's not uncommon. Oh, really? Well, then I suppose me doing this won't be a problem, right? What? Don't put your hand on my forehead! I don't have a fever, so there's no point to this. No, apparently not. Even your ears are red now. You don't look like you have a fever. Looks more like you're drunk. She's doing this on purpose. This is deliberate. I know it. Tasaka, you know exactly what you're doing, don't you? You got me. I was just enjoying your reactions. Too funny. And who would toy with a man's innocent feelings like that should do their repentance in hell. Okay, that's a bit strong, Shiro. Well, I'll stop teasing here. If I push it, I might end up having to suffer the consequences. That's a problem. I feel like Tasaka's only teasing me harder now. No pun intended. Tasaka, might I remind you that this is serious, and I'm here to learn from you. Oh, I'm sorry, that's been my intention from the start. I was only checking on my student's health just now. Oh yeah, so are you going to get to today's topic then? Yes, I suppose we're stepping outside my specialty here, so I can only offer advice. But it's better than if I didn't say anything at all. To be honest, that last lesson I gave you was probably the last of the help I can offer. You can't just learn to be a mage in a few lessons. All I did was install a switch inside you that you hadn't learned to use. Yeah, that much at least, right? You mean that jewel? Yeah, ever since I swallowed it, I've been able to turn my magic circuits on and off without creating them from scratch every time. Yep, that's about the only thing I can teach you in such a short time. Is there anything you can, like, start teaching me in a longer time? But even that was just your previous training asserting itself. I can only boost the magecraft you've already learned. So I'm not going to teach you other forms of magecraft. You just don't have the talent. What do you mean I don't have the talent? I materialized the legendary blade that chooses the king of Britain out of nothing and killed Heracles with it. If that's a talent, I don't know what is. Yeah, you being so blunt about that is enlightening. But you can at least give me some advice about the magecraft that I can use, right? So tell me, what kind of magecraft I used last night? Tasaka doesn't answer. She's just glaring at me like I'm her worst enemy. Tasaka, this is a lecture, right? I get nervous when you go quiet like that. She looks away, frowning. It's only a brief flicker of her expression, though. I can't. I can't do projection magecraft, and I can't teach someone something I don't know how to do. But if you can't do it, but I can, that means we kind of cover each other's weaknesses, no? Huh, something you can't do? Wasn't what I used against Berserker pretty basic for a mage? I just imagined a structure and let magical energy flow into it. It's no different than strengthening magecraft. But flooding your own magical energy into something that's already formed is difficult. It's like adding what you think is red into an existing mixture of paints, draw out the red hue, only set that with some completely different color, usually brown, because you just mix things together and then it just always ends up there. It's like some sort of singularity of paint colors. By comparison, it's much easier to work with my own paint from the very beginning. Yeah, I might check out the anime once I've played through the visual novel. We'll see. I say the anime as if there's like just like one season or something. As I understand, this is one of those series that's like needlessly complex in like watch order and stuff. With like various prequels, sequels, spin-offs, and whatnot. So I don't even know what would be next on the list of things to experience after the visual novel, honestly. And probably, I guess, the direct adaptations of this visual novel specifically, so maybe. Anyways, it is always fun though, like seeing it adapted into a higher fidelity medium. Especially, I'm sure the fights look great, so that'll be fun. As, by comparison, it's much easier to work with my own paint from the very beginning. I can just draw out whatever I want that way. What do you mean you can't do it? I'm sure you can do that kind of thing. It's much easier than strengthening. You know, if you said that to any other mage, they'd definitely kill you. What you did was called projection, and you perfectly replicated a noble phantasm. I've never heard of anyone doing that before. Oh. A chill runs down my spine. Yeah, I mean, I guess come to think of it, if that was something that just anyone could do, I feel like these Grail Wars would play out a whole heck of a lot differently if you get mages just summoning their own noble phantasms. It's not my imagination. Dosaka's actually angry? You can't be angry at me for pulling out these like incredible magecraft that saved our lives. Like, come on, Dosaka. Doesn't matter. I had a feeling this was the case when I saw all the junk in your shed. There's no point being mad about you at this stage. Let me explain, because you're clearly confused. What you did was called projection magecraft. It's an imperfect magecraft that creates mere images of existing artwork or famed swords using your own magical energy. It's generally used to create temporary objects to use as stand-ins for rituals. Things you create from images in your mind are understood to be imaginary objects, and so they disappear quickly. Huh. I get that the replica is created from a mental image. I saw Saber's sword in my dream, and imagined the golden sword based on it. I don't really get it. Magical energy is like clay, right? Reproduction or no, what you make shouldn't disappear once the object takes form, right? That's not possible! Magical energy can only exist within your body! That's why you pass magical energy through yourself! You need it to interact with nature! Sure, I can need magical energy like a piece of soft candy to at least make a dagger. But it stops there. It's nothing more than candy in the shape of a dagger. As soon as the magical energy dissipates, the dagger disappears too. Listen, things made purely from magical energy do not last long. They only briefly take shape. Well, but projection magecraft creates an object to look and perform like the original. She's right, magical energy has no shape. I can feel it when it's flowing through my body. Once it leaves, it thins out and eventually disappears entirely. But then, no matter how many blueprints I make in my mind and form with magical energy, everything will fade because it's all made from magical energy. Now that I think about it, when Kiritsuga was teaching me Magecraft, I showed him my half-assed attempt at projection, but he told me to stick to strengthening because what I was doing instead was inefficient. I see. So projection consumes a lot of magical energy, and there's no point in using it because what you make disappears immediately? Exactly. For example, let's say you use a decent amount of magic energy to create a sword. All that energy you used might get you a sword whose power we'd rate at maybe a 3 or a 4. A human's imagination is unreliable, filled with holes, so it's almost impossible to replicate anything accurately. Now let's say you use the same magical energy to strengthen a sword. That same amount of magical energy can make the sword 20 to 30 times stronger, which means it would last a few hundred times longer than anything you create with projection. Got it? Projection Magecraft is only used for rituals. Hey, why are you dissing Projection Magecraft? I saved your life and killed Heracles with it. That's gotta count for something. Like, okay, sure, maybe I told what it... Yeah, I guess it's situational, but there are situations. Its sole use is creating replicas which disappear the moment they're used, and then only as a substitute for tools you can't normally create or get a hold of. Your father made the right call teaching you strengthening. You have only so many magic circuits to begin with, so if he taught you something as wasteful as projection, he'd be no better than an amateur himself. I got that. But what was that then? The golden sword, I imagine, was real for a moment, and it even had the real sword's power. Huh. Was it just a freak accident that I projected Saber's sword then? Now to think about it, the amount of magical energy in that sword was remarkable. Replicating something that ends up with a few hundred times magical energy I myself have doesn't seem pretty weird. That, well, you have an affinity for swords. Mages all have connections to something. For you, it's clearly swords. Connections? You mean elements like fire or water? Are you able to share links in the chat? You know, I'll be honest, I actually don't know. Let's go for it. I know YouTube in general is pretty unfriendly to links and comments and like, so like, probably not, but maybe. Right, normally a person takes one of the elements that make up this world. The Mages Association considers it normal, wind to be noble. Could be earth, water, fire, wind, or ether. Or it could be wood, fire, soil, metal, or water. The mage has a connection to one of these, but there are also those with more specific connections. Right, so I guess sword would like be a subcategory of metal or something. Most of these mages don't see any time in the spotlight. They're considered unusual. So in your case, you're connected with swords. It's pretty specific, but that means you could be the authority in swords. Okay. I see. That's probably true. I've always been fascinated with swords. Now I'm curious about Tasaka's specialty. Knowing her, it's probably fire, wind, or something else that would suit someone like her. I should probably just ask since I'm curious. Hey Tasaka, I'm curious, what's your specialty? Yeah, a chart to keep track of the shows would probably be helpful, I imagine. Mine? My connection is with the 5 elements. Like all of them? Does she mean all of them? That doesn't really seem like a specialty. Anyway, that's pretty much that. No, that's not that. Like, which one specifically? They said that projection is about as useful as images on a screen, so try not to use it too much. Look, I will use it when it is appropriate to be used. Yeah, that was definitely a humble brag there from Rin. Besides, trying to replicate Saber's sword was suicidal. You made it work this time, but I wouldn't have been surprised if you just exploded. You said yourself, Saber's sword has more magical energy than you ever could. You do realize that creating something that goes way beyond the limits of your mage circuits, right? It's like a violation of the laws of thermodynamics. Like, even more so than our normal MageCraft. Yeah, I know, but it's not so easy to go beyond your own limits, right? I thought I couldn't go any further anyway, because I was already at my limit to begin with. Oh, you absolutely can, and death is always lurking right around that corner. So that wouldn't be great. If MageCraft follows a certain form or format, it means any mage can use any MageCraft they have knowledge of. Even if they're not ever actually able to perform. Sorry about that. Even if they're not ever actually able to pull off that miracle, they'll still take a shot. Mages are only a source of power. Even a small engine can reach a high speed if you push the gas hard enough, but it tends to be self-destructive. Same with mages. If they're willing to accept the risk of destroying themselves, mages can certainly push past their limits. Doing so burns magic circuits and shreds nerves, but if they keep going, they can reach the miracle they seek. But, have you considered I have a, as of yet unexplained, but remarkable healing ability, so even if I push myself to the point of destroying my circuits, they come back! Like, I mean, it's as if I was built for this. I'm sorry, it's like, I'm just built different. Your projection is just that. Your body felt feverish after the battle because your nerves were seared. That's the price you pay for MageCraft beyond your own means. What you did could easily have cost you a limb or two. But it didn't. Oops. Tozaka's voice grows a little louder. But at the same time, that's why you should always keep in mind, practicing MageCraft that goes beyond its caster's limits leads only to ruin. Promise me you won't project Saber's sword ever again. Okay, look, I can't promise that. Look, I can promise that I won't do it willy-nilly, but if I'm in a situation where it's the last resort, and it worked this time, why not go for it again? Chisaka's worried about me. Genuinely. After her warning, Chisaka prescribes some medicine I'm not familiar with. Well, there's probably no point telling you not to push yourself. At least for our peace of mind, take that painkiller. If anything happens, if all goes well, you're bruised and discolored skin might heal. Only reason Shira's not dead from doing MageCraft wrong is because of his healing abilities. Like, I get that, yeah. But simultaneously, we have the healing abilities, so we might as well take advantage, right? Chisaka explains this as she prepares some kind of green, powdery medicine. I drink it with some tea. Chisaka rummages through her stuff and tries to prescribe some other medicine. Anyway. I feel bad for Chisaka having to go through all her stuff just for me, but I think I'm wasting time just sitting here. I should ask about projection in more detail. Question 1, or silence is golden? What? What does question 1 even mean in this context? Like, I'm not just going to be silent. I feel like she'd be mildly annoyed if I asked about projection. Thing she just told her, like, hey, stop doing that. Like, but why? But it's cool. Tell me about the cool things about projection magic. But I don't even know what question 1 means. And I guess there's one way to find out. Yeah, question 1 it is. Now that I think about it, there's one thing I don't understand. Why wasn't Tosaka just crushed during a battle with Berserker? Why indeed? What sort of trickery did she use? Hey, Tosaka, can I ask you about something that happened yesterday? What is it? Make it quick, I'm busy. Okay, so Berserker grabbed you. I'm just wondering how you survived. You don't look like it, but do you work your abs or something? If ripped abs were all I needed to survive Berserker's grip, my stomach would be harder than steel. Sorry, that was the wrong way to ask. I apologize, so please stop grinning at me like that. And stop provoking me. As to how I survived, I placed a jewel on my stomach before the fight. I snuck it into my clothes to create a protective barrier around me. Got it? I see, so were you never actually in as much danger as you appeared to be in, and I acted rashly on false pretenses? I see. So you expected Berserker to grab you from the get-go. It makes sense then, planning to protect yourself. But that means your jewels. I'm all tapped out. I used 1 for Saber, 3 to distract Berserker, 5 to blow his face off, and 1 to protect myself. 10 years I spent saving those up, and they went in an instant. Even after using most of them, I still couldn't defeat Berserker. In spite of her dejected sigh, Tosaka doesn't seem to regret what happened. What's done is done. She knows very well not to dwell on what she lost, but to focus on what she gained in exchange. I see. Sorry about that, Tosaka. Thanks, that I'm going to learn from this and make gems that'll let me defeat an enemy like that all on my own. She's as blunt as ever about that. But I'm also sure she'll manage it. And then I realize Tosaka is the reason we won against Berserker. I mean, it was a team effort. And after giving me several medications, Tosaka instructs me to do simple strengthening exercises while we keep an eye on how my body reacts. Apparently she's checking to see that nothing goes wrong inside me when I use magical energy. Honestly, Tosaka seems more like a doctor than a teacher today. Okay, there doesn't seem any problems. You probably don't need to come here tomorrow then. Huh? That's a bit of a surprise. I don't have to come tomorrow. That means... Yep, there's nothing else I can teach you. If you want to focus on learning MageCraft, you should do it after the war. Besides, with Archer gone, my alliance with you is long over. So are you gonna like move on? Are you moving out? You leaving me now, Rin? Are you just gonna chill here for a bit? Like, what's your plan? What? I suddenly realize our alliance was only so we could defeat Berserker. Now that Berserker's gone and Tosaka doesn't have a servant anymore, our living arrangement should be over. Should have ended yesterday, even. So, what are you going to do now, Tosaka? Are you going to go to Kotamine's place? That'd probably be the normal thing to do. Tosaka and Father Kotomine are student and disciple, so it shouldn't be an issue for her to go asking him for protection. Why? Of course I'm not going there. Haven't lost yet. There's no reason I can't fight without a servant. Besides, running away isn't really my style. I decided to fight, so I'm seeing this through to the end. And people say I'm the reckless one. She says it's like it should be the most obvious thing in the world. And she's proud about that. My eyes widen. Well, okay, maybe not. I should have expected this from Tasaka. She's unbelievably stubborn. Absolutely selfish. And captivatingly brilliant. Then what are you going to do? Are you going to go out on your own now? There's still servants and masters left. Let's see. I think I'll stay here a while to gather information. Information on what? On me? Because, I mean, if that's the case, then there's the door. Like, you're not spying on me in my own home. I should resume my research on Ryudo Temple, too. You're going to stay here? Are you sure? It'd be a big help if you stayed, but our line's ended, so... What are you talking about? We managed to beat Berserker thanks to our archer. Our lines may have ended, but you still owe me. And that's why you're obviously going to let me use your place until you've fully repaid your debts. I mean, no objections here. I'm just kind of wondering, like, why is my place better than your place? For this purpose. Besides, I said I would take responsibility until the end. Oh, hey, Joker. We're just, playing some Fate Stay Night. Been a very exciting stream of Fate Stay Night so far. Lots of fun, events happening. You and I were teacher and student, even if it was brief. I'd be so worried about you if I left you to your devices. I wouldn't be able to concentrate on the Holy Grail War. Oh, right. It feels like a lifetime ago, so I'd nearly forgotten. But I've admired Rin because of exactly those qualities for a long time now. So I'm actually very happy. That's the Tosaka I've always known and liked. Besides, if I ever saw the day a girl as stubborn as her gives up, I wouldn't know what to believe from then on. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around, Tosaka. Whatever else I might say, I wouldn't know what to do without you. Say what I needed you, Tosaka. That's fine, but don't say stuff like that. You're stupidly honest, yeah. But be careful at what you say. You could give people the wrong idea. Huh? I'm not sure why that upset Tosaka so much. Tosaka, what do you mean? I might give people the wrong idea. What wrong idea? Unbelievable. It just wasn't appropriate, okay? And my whole attitude should make clear I don't want you asking, so drop it. Tosaka must be aware of some secret rule. I'm not. Maybe it's a mage thing. It's either a mage thing or a girl thing. 50-50 odds, I'd say. Good grief. I feel bad. Saber's got it rough. But then again, that's probably why you two work. You and Saber both have to be pretty freaking dense, or else you'd never last. Huh. Okay, I still don't get it, but... I didn't miss what you said about feeling bad for Saber. What do you mean she has it tough? That's exactly what I'm talking about. I bet you haven't even noticed the changes in Saber. Changes in Saber? And she wasn't really training at her best, but yeah, we all have off days on occasion. It's not about her appearance, right? If anything would have changed in Saber. Oh, right, she has been acting weird since this morning. No, I just thought she was in a bad mood because Ilya was with us. She sat there all stiff and quiet, and when asked if there was something wrong, she just got up and left, saying something about having had a dream. And I pretty much forgot about it and all the hustle and bustle over Ilya. Yeah, Sarah's been a little off since this morning. Like, her head is somewhere else. Saber said she had a dream. Yeah, that's the bit that surprises you? Like, I mean, REM sleep is a very normal thing to experience. Pretty important part of the sleep process, as I understand it. And now she's ignoring me. Hey, don't go quiet on me. That face you're making has me nervous. It's nothing major. Why's everyone keeping secrets from me specifically? It's just that servants don't typically dream. Huh. That's so. Huh. That's so. Servants don't dream. That's right, servants don't dream. So, what's the explanation of a dream occurring in a servant then? What would make that happen? But if she says she did, then it wasn't a dream. It was someone's memory. Maybe Tosaka's experienced it before? The coldness in her voice runs so counter to her usual cheerfulness.